Straight to business, Brian Quinn is here. He's starting with the culmination of a big week for central banks around the world as the war in Iran once again raises the spectre of runaway inflation, Brian.
Stuart, this week has indeed brought an unusually packed schedule for monetary policy makers in the world's top economies, all facing the same dilemma: how best to guide those economies through an energy supply shock that's almost certain to trigger rising prices, while at the same time restraining growth. Tuesday saw the Reserve Bank of Australia become the first to hike interest rates. Most, though, seem to be adopting a policy of wait and see. The Bank of Japan holding rates steady Thursday morning. The European Central Bank and the Bank of England are widely expected to do likewise when they announce their decisions later in the day. The U.S. Federal Reserve, meanwhile, announced Wednesday night that it, too, will hold rates steady at 3.5% to 3.75%. But like the BOJ, America's central bank signaled that previously expected rate cuts are growing less likely as inflation is already ticking up. 2026's outlook raised from 2.4% to 2.7%, well above the Fed's 2% target. Here's Fed Chief Jerome Powell.
The implications of events in the Middle East for the U.S. economy are uncertain. In the near term, higher energy prices will push up overall inflation, but it is too soon to know the scope and duration of the potential effects on the economy. If we have a long period of much higher gas prices, that's going to weigh on consumption. That'll weigh on disposable personal income, and it'll weigh on consumption. But we don't know if that's going to happen.
Jerome Powell, and that inflationary pressure continuing to be seen on the oil markets in particular.
Indeed, crude oil and natural gas prices in particular once again soaring in the wake of Israel's attack on Iran's South Pars gas field and Iran's retaliation on Qatar's biggest gas export facility, Ras Laffan. International oil benchmark Brent crude up 5.6% as it tops $113 per barrel. Its U.S. counterpart WTI staying fairly flat. Europe's main natural gas indicator, though, Dutch TTF, is up 24% as fears grow of escalating supply interruptions. Asian stock markets losing some ground Thursday over those worries, with Tokyo's Nikkei index leading the way down. It dropped some 3.4%. Korean chipmakers Samsung and SK Hynix giving up several percentage points after 2 days of big gains. The Kospi and Seoul off 2.7%. Here in Europe, major indexes opened in the red as well amid fears that skyrocketing energy prices could mean inflationary rates as bad as those during the COVID pandemic. Analysts warning that knock-on effects from the closure of the Strait of Hormuz will soon be seen in global food prices as well. Take a listen here.
Concerned about food prices because a lot of fertilizer goes through the Straits of Hormuz, and we've already seen, rice shortages and restrictions being put on in India, for example. So I'd be more worried about a sort of GFC, a global food crisis.
And finally, for business, the French military is preparing to build a new aircraft carrier, a real boon, of course, for the country's shipbuilding industry.
French President Emmanuel Macron announced on Wednesday that the new carrier will be named France Libre, or Free France, in honor of the exiled French administration that fought the Nazi occupation. The nuclear-powered ship will replace the Charles de Gaulle as France's sole aircraft carrier. The €10 billion multi-year construction work promising to create some 15,000 jobs in and around the Saint-Nazaire dockyard in the west of the country. Yuka Royer and our colleagues at France Télévisions have the details.
It's the largest shipbuilding project in Europe. Slated for 2038, France Libre, the next generation aircraft carrier, will be colossal at 310 meters long and weighing nearly 80,000 tons. For those workers, the new contract brings stability for their future.
We're steeplejacks, and since they can't install cranes everywhere, there'll definitely be a need for us.
I'm in part-time apprenticeship, and I easily found a job near my home through a local agent here.
The multi-year project also guarantees work for subcontractors. This welding company has already started training people for special methods required to build a military vessel. The massive undertaking will bring 15,000 new jobs, but also hundreds of military personnel to Saint-Nazaire. The owner of this restaurant is gearing up for an influx of new customers.
You can see new offices being installed here. All the research offices of the Chantier de l'Atlantique, with around 2,500 people, will be in that area.
And more homes will be needed to accommodate that many people. There's already a plan to install 200 mobile homes, but the new project is set to put pressure on the local housing market.
We already have a lot of furnished accommodation on the market due to the ferry building business here. With a new wave of renters, the property market in Saint-Nazaire could become saturated. The second risk is that it may become harder for locals to find a place to live because prices will surge due to new arrivals.
The initial cost estimate for the aircraft carrier is €10 billion. As the main construction site, Saint-Nazaire will take the lion's share.
What we in the business call a big old boat, Stuart.
Indeed it is, Brian. Thanks a lot, Brian Quinn, with business.